Welcome back to the series where I 100% every game in Roblox, and today I'm doing Block Tales Demo 4. Block Tales has recently come out with Demo 4, and as someone who has gotten all the badges in the previous demos, I knew I had to play this one. To start off, I got the first badge out of 11 for just joining the game. I then reunited with Shedlitsky, and he gave me another quest, which was to retrieve the firebrand. So I went to the docks and rowed a boat to Vermillion Village to start my journey. On this screen, I could see what would be the final boss for the demo. With that in mind, I started to make my way through the scorched dunes. I also haven't played the game in a few months, so I was still getting used to the game again. It wasn't helping that I was playing on hard mode where I took double damage and it was harder to block. The reason why I was doing this was because there was a badge to beat all of the bosses on hard mode. But anyways, I eventually made it to the first of many puzzles in the demo. Here I had to push a box onto a button which opened the door. This was a small puzzle, but later on there will be many more difficult ones. But for now, I had to help a boulder by blowing the cave entrance up from the inside. This caused the boulder to move, and I was able to continue with my journey. Eventually, I made it to the ancient tomb, and survived a variety of enemies and traps. Finally, in the deepest part of the tomb, I made it to the first boss, the Great Flochi. But obviously, with my past experiences of the game, and how I got all of the badges before this update, I should be able to easily beat it right. Okay, maybe I won't get it first try, but I can beat it soon. Yeah, maybe this won't be as easy as I thought it was, so I made some changes like using the red and blue call card as well as the sword toss card. After beating the Great Flochi, I was met with more of the tomb to explore. I was given the bottled ship card, and I had to do another short puzzle to get out of the room. After talking to Jerry and Terry, I used the bottled ship card to go further into the tomb. Eventually, I made it out and overheard some pirates talking. I was caught and ended up having to fight them. I used the red and blue call card again to defeat them, and after a hard-fought battle, I was able to finish them off with my venom shank. After beating them, I met Captain Troder, who would help me find the firebrand. But first I had to complete the puzzles I was talking about earlier. I first found the hidden picture behind a wall on the left, and then copied the pattern onto the big wall. This activated whatever that was, but there was 3 more of them that I had to activate next, starting with the southern puzzle where I had to control the balls rolling with my sword. The next puzzle is kind of hard to explain, but I basically just matched each of the pillars with what appeared when I hit the same button. But you don't need to understand the puzzle to see that I solved it and moved on to the next one. For the final puzzle, I had to turn the tiles and make it into a picture. However, when I did, the pirates wanted to fight me instead of thanking me, so I had to put them in their place and absolutely destroy. Yeah, that didn't go well for me. It went so badly that I went and got the Cruel King call card to help, but it did end up working since I was able to beat them. Keep in mind these were just small bosses and compared nothing to the final one, and I was struggling on them. Anyways, I made it to the temple, and I also had Calypso to help me fight the enemies in it. I'm not gonna bore you with me aimlessly running around the temple and occasionally doing a puzzle here and there, but the important thing that happened was the Great Flochi came back and I wished for a shovel that I used shortly after to get past some obstacles. I was then met with the cutscene, which usually meant a boss fight. And I was right. After defeating what I thought would be the final boss, I was met with having to continue in my exploration of the temple. I fought some new enemies and found 3 different levers to open a door. I continued through the cavern and eventually made it to the last puzzle. It took me a while to figure it out, but I eventually put the pieces together. I then made my way up to the top of the cavern, where I was finally able to retrieve the firebrand. But Captain Troder decided to take the firebrand for himself. But I wasn't going to let him get away with it. The way the fight worked was, depending on what it showed next to him, I could only use a ball, or only use my sword. There was also a glitch I discovered with the hardtack. Although it was supposed to have a 50% chance of healing me, I figured out that it was always working, giving me a strong, reliable source of health. After defeating Captain Troder, I thought I would surely be done until I had to fight the ancients, which took many tries, but here's when I beat it. After defeating the final boss, I got 2 badges, one for just beating it and the other for doing it on hard mode. With this being the end of the chapter now, all I had to do were some random badges to 100% Demo 4. I started by going to sleep in the hotel. I was brought to what seemed to be the future and made my way to the VIP convention. Everything seemed to be going as planned until Bilderman was jumped by a mysterious figure, and I was the one that had to save him. The next badge was very simple. I just had to use a garlic against a vampire. Next, I bought an onion ring and an apple. Then I used the bottled ship in the demo to area in order to get a cookbook. Using the items I got earlier, I went to the ghost chef to make the special. I then gave the special to Griefer for another badge, and the Griefer call card. For this next badge, I had to buy and store 200 of the same item. In order to get the next badge, I had to collect a total of 40 bucks. They could be anywhere scattered around the map, and after around half an hour of searching, I got the Giga Bucks badge. For the next badge, I had to collect 60 different cards, so I went to the sketchy figure to get the first few. This gave me a total of 42, and I went to the card store. I bought a few cards, but there was a problem. I was broke, but before I got more ticks I bought for more cards. I also defeated the Supreme Mosquito boss for the investor card. This card gives me 30% more ticks after a battle, which I would need since I would be going to the pit. In fighting a lot of enemies, I ended up getting through 30 floors and even got the Thorns card in around 500 ticks. I bought a few cards from the store in Turitopolis and defeated a gorilla for the Gorilla Call card and went back to the temple to get the Calypso Call card. Finally, I bought the last cards from the shop in Demo 4. For the final badge, I had to defeat a secret boss. However, I'm not joking when I say this was harder than the Ancients earlier. I tried many strategies with Cruel King and Griefer, but none of them worked. So I resorted to looking a different strategy up, and the one I found used the shovel. With the help of Cruel King, I started using the shovel to make Finn confused, and it was working. So effective that I took no damage the entire time. And with me beating all the bosses and getting every badge, I think it's safe to say that I 100% demo for In Block Tales. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and watch the video on the left that YouTube thinks you'll like, or my previous upload on the right.